We Christians believe in creation ex nihilo, creation out of nothing. We believe that only God could create something out of nothing. However, some scientists, as Richard Dawkins and Lawrence Krauss, think otherwise. So the question is, could the universe come out of nothing without God being involved? To most of us, this question is absurd. We understand that nothing cannot come out of nothing. However, some scientists argue that something can come out of nothing. For example, cosmologist Lawrence Krauss writes, "Some philosophers and many theologians define and redefine nothing as not being any of the versions of nothing that scientists currently describe. But therein, in my opinion, lies the intellectual bankruptcy of much of theology and some of modern philosophy, for surely nothing is every bit as physical as something." Notice, Krauss says, nothing is every bit as physical as something. He also says, nothing is unstable in one of his books. If you are confused, you're not alone. Clearly, when Krauss says nothing, he actually means something. Cosmologist Stephen Hawking echoes this understanding. Because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. Spontaneous creation is the reason there is something rather than nothing, why the universe exists, why we exist. It is not necessary to invoke God to light the blue touch paper and set the universe going. Believe it or not, there has been a controversy between physicists and philosophers about how to define, listen this, how to define nothing. For this, go and read the debate between a well-known Christian philosopher William Lane Craig and Lawrence Krauss. So at this point, we need to ask a question. What do they mean by nothing? To illustrate this, consider the John Deere Tractor Company slogan. This is old slogan. Nothing runs like a deer. Nothing runs like a deer. This could be taken two ways. The machinery manufacturer could be saying that nothing runs like a deer, that there is no machinery that can run like a deer, like their tractor. And obviously, this is their intended meaning. However, this slogan could be misrepresented to mean that there is something called nothing that runs like a deer. This treats something as if it's nothing when it's really something. And this is exactly what Krauss, Hawking, and others are doing. Every time Lawrence Krauss, Richard Dawkins, and others say nothing in this context, they are really referring to vacuum, which is something. If you take things out of vacuum, it turns out that things can pop into the existence inside this vacuum. How is this possible? It turns out that there are fields of energy, and these fields of energy are interacting with each other, and they can produce, this vacuum energy can produce particles. See? Something from nothing. Not really. Listen to what an atheistic theoretical physicist and philosopher David Albert says. The fact that particles can pop in and out of existence over time as those fields rearrange themselves is not a bit more mysterious than the fact that fists can pop in and out of existence over time as my fingers rearrange themselves. and none of these poppings amount to anything even remotely in the neighborhood of a creation from nothing. Neither Lawrence Krauss nor Stephen Hawking have explained how did we get a universe out of nothing. They take quantum field vacuum states, which is something, then they call it nothing, and then they say that you can get something out of nothing. However, they have told us how to get something out of something. This is precisely why David Albert concludes by saying, as far as I can see, Krauss is dead wrong, and his religious and philosophical critics are absolutely right. Krauss and his allies know that the question, why is there something rather than nothing, merits more of an answer than Bertrand Russell's, the universe is just there and that's all. That's no answer at all. But the G word, God, is for some reason inadmissible. So in their search for an answer, atheistic scientists became humorless as well as bad as magicians. Listen to the following statement by Stephen Hawking and Leonard Mlodinov. Spontaneous creation is the reason there is something rather than nothing. Why the universe exists, why we exist. It is not necessary to invoke God to set the universe going. When you read this, you would think that this must have been written before the middle of the 19th century, when in fact it was published in 2010. Why did I mention the middle of the 19th century? The theory of spontaneous generation, which is not the same as the spontaneous creation, held that living creatures could arise from non-living matter and that such processes were commonplace and regular. By the middle of the 19th century, Louis Pasteur and others refuted it. So nobody today believes in the theory of spontaneous generation. What we see in the last years is something very similar to the theory of spontaneous generation, but on the larger scale. Instead of saying that living beings could spontaneously arise, now some say that the whole universe could spontaneously arise from nothing. Didn't they learn the lesson? Obviously not. Or maybe there is a different reason. Why are they repeating the same mistake? Maybe the Bible can give us the answer. Romans chapter 1 verse 21. For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him. But their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. So the reason is, since the science has confirmed that the universe had a beginning, and since these people don't want to believe in God, the only option they are left is to believe in the impossible and illogical. The conclusion is, a universe could not come out of nothing, because out of nothing, nothing comes. The best option for the origin of the universe is God. He is non-material, he is spirit, and he is eternal. His nature is different from our material universe. So he is not under the natural laws as we are. So since the universe could not come out of nothing, God exists, and he has created the universe.